You're watching convention coverage on site.
First time in Stockton for both of you?
It is, but probably not the last.
Well, and Kate, you were supposed to be here, I think, a couple years ago.
I was, and then I booked Dancing with the Stars, and I had to bail on you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, there's worse things you could have.
I know, that's showbiz, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
So I want to start off by talking a little about your backstories. And I think the one thing, you guys have known each other, you've been in similar venues, similar places over the years, and done your stand-up together, you've done your improv together. I don't think you've acted on the same show.
We've not.
No,
okay.
that's not right.
No, I know. Although you've been on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and I've been on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Just not together.
Just not together.
Okay. So I'm curious, I think that one of the most interesting things when, looking at your backstories, if I'm not mistaken, both of you on your iconic roles, so you being Chloe O'Brien on 24 and you being Meredith Palmer on The Office, both of you were booked originally in very short-term roles that became full-time roles, right? Is that accurate?
I like it.
I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because technically we were all guest stars. I mean, there was like 6 of us that were guest stars on The Office. And
did you know that you were going to be on it regularly?
I didn't.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure. I actually replaced somebody for the pilot, so I was afraid I was going to get replaced. So I'm like, don't get too excited because this could go away.
But was the perception when you first got hired like that everybody was going to be in The Office? You know what I mean? From the get-go?
They didn't make it clear, and they certainly, like, technically we were just guest stars. We just happened to be in every episode. And that wasn't until season 2, like during the Booze Cruise episode, that they were like, you know what? You have to be here all the time, so we're going to make this
That's awesome. So
official.
I wonder if they even didn't know
I wonder,
how they were going to write.
They may not have.
Yeah, you could have. Michael Scott could have fired you at any time.
It's true, because they were downsizing. It's true.
And for you, Marilyn, as Chloe O'Brien, the very angsty and very eyeshadow heavy computer hacker.
Yes, in the end, I was eyeshadow heavy. I did not start out that way. So, warning for all of you out there in your life, you might end up later becoming eyeshadow heavy. It is a condition. It involves a lot of black eyeliner on, in, and around the eye. And a lot of angst and I had a lot of jewelry. I was very goth.
Yeah. Well,
because I spent all those years sort of doing the right thing and working for the government. And then in the end, I was like,
Yeah, you have to do that right.
I give up.
Yeah.
I went to the dark side.
Well, so I think the other interesting, and again, this is really digging. I think the other thing that you both have in common is spending a lot of time in front of a computer I pretending to do work.
Some of us a little more intense than others. I think Chloe was way more intense.
Chloe did some stuff, okay?
Yeah.
So
Meredith was playing solitaire against Creed. Yeah.
Well, so when you were in the office, when you're sitting there
I
on
like these
set,
correlations, though.
It's true.
I like
actually,
what you're doing.
It's a great parallel.
I was going to say, so I know you all, it took you like a couple seasons to get internet on The Office.
Just the second season. Yeah, first season we had no internet.
So you're just literally playing solitaire.
We didn't even have solitaire. We had nothing, and the computers didn't work. They just had these weird little fake screens. And then they told us to have to bring paperwork, like literally our own. I did my taxes. I'm
so
not
when
kidding.
You're watching her
That's
in the
amazing.
background of The Office, she's doing her 1040.
Season 1.
Dude, that's life goals.
Yeah,
you're
I know.
An
It's
actor,
kind of
but you're also doing your
like you're getting paid to
while
get
you're
your paperwork done that you never have time to do or want to do.
Very good.
It's kind of awesome. I recommend it.
And then Marilyn, you're hacking. How do you pretend to hack? What are you doing while you're banging on that keyboard intently?
I'm fake typing, first of all.
Okay.
And if I do type, it's just like a positive affirmation to myself. Like, you're doing a good job acting. Keep up the good work. Don't take Jack's intensity so personally. He's just acting.
So
Just keeps you going through the day. I mean, you get in trouble when the other characters come over, hope to see the hacked in government files, and they just see, you're a goddess. You're a unicorn. You're an angel on earth. Keep going.
Did you ever get anybody
motivating.
to break just by looking at what you've taught? Like, wait, that's not at all what I expected to see while staring over your shoulder.
Yeah, I got into trouble with that a few times.
Well done.
Keeps that. Well, that's what gets on the highlight reels, right? The
Never.
blooper reels.
No. Only here. You guys will know the secret.
So both of you kind of got your start. I think Marilyn, you were an art student, right?
Yes.
Originally, but you both kind of fell into improv. Can you talk a little bit about how improv and stand-up helped develop your skills as actresses?
Well, I actually went to Second City. My aunt gave me a ticket when I was after college to check out Chicago and Second City because she thought it would be a good fit. And she lived there, so I got to stay with her. And I remember you could take class there. You had to audition for the classes. And then I took class, and then I ended up getting hired by them for the tour in the touring company. And I ended up being in Chicago for 5 years. But what I loved about it was like I did a lot of shows like. Not so much. I didn't really do stand up till later, but you could perform all the time. Which as a regular actor, you're kind of waiting for the phone call, either for like the theater to hire you or the TV show to hire you. But if you do improv and stand up, you can work as much as you want. You may not get paid for it, but you can work on your craft all the time. And the audience, of course, tells you if you're terrible because they don't laugh. So you get to work on your act all the time. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, we have that in common because that's what if anyone ever asks me for advice about how to get into acting, I mean, I think it's different nowadays because you can go online and it's so easy to create your own content. But, you know, when we started, it was like people saw you in live shows, and I got, you know, auditions from that. I got management from that. And of course, I think we both love having that live energy and having the reaction of a crowd, and there's nothing like getting that immediate response.
It's true.
Especially I mean, for comedy, of course.
Right. Online, you might get likes, but like somehow getting laughs in the moment makes it easier to kind of navigate what you're doing.
And especially during. It was like I really got used to doing Zoom shows, and it's funny, you convince yourself like this is fun, this is normal, and then once I got to do live again, it's like there really is nothing like a live show. So
thank you for being alive and out there.
Thank you.
Please clap for yourselves, please. Come on, you guys.
Indeed,
Please.
absolutely.
For all of us,
give it up for yourselves. Come on.
Being here, keeping life going.
There's something to be said for showing up.
That's
well,
right.
and so that, Marilyn, that's a fantastic segue. I'd like to thank you for that. It was a very professional
You're welcome.
segue. Because both of you, we've obviously had the for the last 18 months or so, and both of you did interesting stand-up shows during the Kate did one in a cemetery.
It was a drive-in,
Cars.
In Cars.
Mary Lynn has her show live from the which was recorded in front of her, I believe, your dog, your cat, and your freezer.
My dog heckled me hard.
Yeah.
I'm telling jokes, and he's like drinking from the toilet. I was like, really? Because that's next level. And there was
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd. I could hear the Amazon truck and the hum of the refrigerator, and just really made it my own, you know?
So talk a little bit about that. I think you were getting ready to go on tour?
Yes, I was scheduled. I actually was right before scheduled to do a bunch of Comic-Cons, which you got me involved in, which has been just such a lovely experience. Everyone here is like so nice and so cool, and it's great to connect with people. And they all got canceled because of so then started, and then same thing with my comedy album. So yeah, it just became me in my garage, and it was really fun, actually.
And I actually was on tour right before everything closed up because I was actually on tour with Dancing with the Stars. And I was supposed to be doing 54 of their 80 shows. And I had a 2-week break because I was supposed to go to South by Southwest for a movie. And, of course, that got canceled. And then I suddenly found out, like, oh, that's the whole tour's done. Like, everybody has to go home. So, yeah. But it was, I mean, I was happy that I was so busy up until everything shut down.
So what was the show in the cemetery with audience in their cars?
I have a comedy act called The Lampshades. We're a 2-person dying lounge act, and we do mashups of 70s and 80s songs. We perform in Burbank regularly. We've been in Hollywood for almost 20 years, but we do mashups of 70s and 80s songs, and we somehow it's like we're kind of in the stand-up world because we've hosted a lot of stand-up shows. Like I know we've hosted shows that Mary Lynn has actually performed at St. Nick's Pub or Knitting Factory. We have so much weird crossover.
We'll perform anywhere, is what we're saying.
It's true, and and I was thinking and Mary, we've
people
tested.
Are reading in a bookstore.
It's true. Whatever you need, but we tested for the same shows. Yeah,
quiet places.
Right.
Bust out a show.
Right, where people don't want to hear comedy, and there we are, the student center of a college.
No, a lot of bars.
Recommend it. Right,
so
you're
essentially busking. Comedy could break out at any time.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true.
We graduated from that a little bit. But
yeah, I was going to say.
We still have it in us.
Yeah, this is true. I'm not as eager to work out new material. I guess that's bad, but oh well.
Well, has it been hard to write? I mean, in Mary Lynn's case, did you write, you had stuff obviously ready for your tour, and then suddenly that changes a lot. Did you have humor? Or
well, that was like the challenge of it, and sort of the joy of it was, well, obviously performing into a camera by myself, which I had headlined a bunch of Zoom shows, is a very strange thing. But I sort of did half stuff that was really fresh from the just about, you know, habits, things I learned about myself, my neighbors, things that we all went through during. And then it's mixed in with tried and true bits to sort of keep the pacing going. You know, different material I have about 24, or just like relationships with my family. And so I sort of strung it together that way. With
you
really,
you're in a
current
relationship with Kiefer Sutherland? Is that what you said?
I'm in a full-time relationship with Kiefer. We don't talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, you'll never see us together. We don't even really talk that much, but it's a great. We are best friends.
There's
Nevertheless.
a lot of chemistry. A lot of chemistry.
You aren't blocked on his phone, is what you're saying.
I don't think I'm blocked
Okay.
on
Should we test
his
right now?
phone.
Do you want to text him right now and see?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me real
we'll
quick.
make sure to do that
I'll
later.
do that later when I. No, he did Twitter me on my birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
See,
No, we would be close if we saw each other, but we don't
yeah,
run
I
in
know,
the
it's hard.
same
I know.
circles.
You're not seeing each other at the Whole Foods in Burbank.
We're not.
Okay.
We're not.
So you think that's what happens in Hollywood? It's not. You know, they don't see each other at the Whole Foods.
Yeah. So hi, I'm an actor who's actually been on the Apple TV Plus series Little Boys Sell Out Alert, and I want to learn more about this whole acting field by some of the greats. So I've seen you guys in like many genres of shows, whether it's comedy, drama, or animation, and I want to know. Are there any different acting techniques that you do regarding those types of genres when you're acting?
oh, absolutely. I mean, I've done a couple Disney shows. You guys, like, I was on Jessie. I played Corporal Cookie, the possible love interest of Bertram the butler. Didn't quite work out. And then I was also Harper's mom on Wizards of Waverly Place. And the thing about Wizards and Jessie is, like, it's a multicam, so there's 3 cameras and there's a live audience, and the energy is huge. Like, you have to be, everyone's like literally yelling all their lines. Like, there's so much energy, which is very different from The Office, where we have to be super subtle, super, just be very cognizant that it's a documentary, that they're shooting it like a documentary, so you have to act like you're talking to somebody for, like, where sometimes you're not that loud, because we're not always loud unless you're really annoying. But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely true. And then also, if I'm doing something that's not a comedy, then I, try not to make as many faces, but I make a lot of faces unnaturally. So it's just kind of how it is. Does that help?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
helps.
But there's definitely an adjustment, and that's why there's a director, so you're not on your own. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. They will guide you, and you just like don't get in too many arguments with the director, because they usually know what they're doing.
Yes.
But you'll be
we've
great.
also done a lot. We've both done a lot of guest roles. Which
Lots of
means
guest stars,
You
yeah.
kind of just get plopped into something that you have to very quickly. I mean, of course, if you know the show, but even so, to be on the set around the actors, picking up the tone and the rhythm and the
their
style of that
subtleties,
show,
the
and
style.
yeah,
We were both on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but not at the same time. That rhymes. Thanks.
which that's an interesting tone on that show, because it's
Totally.
very natural, but also really jokey.
It can be, yeah,
and
yeah,
there is
yeah.
a rhythm to it, but it's
Totally.
not complicated. Like, the words are pretty natural, but
Right, there's just
really
a lot of
jokey
them.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That was a cool.
Yeah, that
set.
was fun. I know, I love that show.
Well, and Marilyn, you've played such a variety of characters. I mean, we talked about Chloe, but It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You were on Mr. Show, where you're playing all sorts of characters. So you have to bring a different approach to these different roles. Is it challenging to do that, or I mean, obviously you're a professional actress. So
Well, I
it's
mean,
not
that's
that
what
hard.
kind of keeps it interesting and keeps you moving forward. It definitely it's a little bit scary for sure. You're
You
always
can
like,
go. Thank you so much. Please clap for this guy's question. Thank you. You're so sweet.
good
Thank you.
question.
All right, who else has a question?
Hey,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
So my question is towards Kate. I'm a big Office fan. I watch it almost every single night. I don't know why. I just rerun it every single time. It's enjoyable to me.
I love it.
Yes. So my question to you is, obviously I haven't watched all the extras on there, but the question is what's your favorite moment that's off the scene that you had with the rest of the cast? Like, What's like, this made you laugh so much, or?
There's so much. I mean, it's so hard to pick one. We really had the best time. Like I'm like, no joke. I mean, I love those people so much, and that show changed all of our lives, all of our careers. There was an episode where at Work Bus, it was season 9, and Bryan Cranston was the director. And I feel like some people were not that aware of Breaking Bad at the time. I really was. And he's a great guy. He's so sweet. But so it was really great to work with him. And I remember at one point we stopped in front of a giant chicken on the road and took a picture. Which was like, we were on this stupid bus. I'm like, life is so great. I just, there were just like moments where you just literally wanted to pinch yourself because you were just enjoying everything so much. And then in that episode, we found out that was going to be the last season. We found out during lunch one day. And the hard thing about that was that we literally had to come back, and we were all, because we were on a bus, and the bus was so configured so weirdly, we were all inches away from each other, close together all day, all week. And I was so emotional, and I had nowhere to go. I was trying to be cool, keep it together, and I'm like, oh my God, I just wanted to cry after lunch. So it was bittersweet. But yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please clap. Come on. I'm so bossy. I'm sorry, Ross.
And important lesson if you're a producer, don't tell your cast that their season's ending or their job is ending in the middle of the week, right?
Well, it's true, but they were worried because the press was going to find out, and they knew everyone was going to get bothered, so they wanted to give us a little heads up. So we literally had an hour before it was released where you're like, oh God, and then your phone's just going off and off. And your relatives and your friends are like, oh my God, are you ever going to work again?
And you say, I don't know.
I don't know. Do you know a psychic? Weird. Can we call someone? Sorry.
Well, so with the way things have been going on, are you both working fairly regularly now? How are things in Hollywood with production and stuff? I know you both have things on IMDb, but what's going on?
There's a lot of testing, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not as much live stuff. I'm actually about to go out on tour again with Jane Lynch because I toured with her. We did a Christmas album together a few years ago, and we also have a non-Christmas show that we did at the Carlisle, and we're about to tour with that at the end of this month in Seattle and Alaska. So we're starting to go out, but we're kind of ready for anything to get shut down at any moment now because everything's so precarious. And we're going to go out. We'll have 10 shows in October, and then we're going to do a big Christmas tour. But yeah, it's weird because we had to cancel our tour, and but I will say between Cameo and I did a big campaign for Peacock for The Office. So I did a ton of talk shows during the pandemic, which is so weird. So I was on the Today Show and Seth Meyers from my living room. Had to do a test for the internet to make sure there's all these technical things they were checking ahead of time, and I did Kelly Clarkson from my living room once too, and then all of a sudden everything started opening up again. You had to get tested. You had to be really careful. The crew was really small. All the audience was on Zoom. So weird.
Well, and Marilyn, you did Kelly Clarkson in a car.
I did.
Oh,
yeah, I was going to say they did some shows outside, and they just did them in really creative ways. So she and I drove up to each other in different classic cars and had a conversation. It was really fun. She's a legit superstar. I mean, we're superstars too, but when you're around Kelly Clarkson, she's super busy and super sweet.
Amazing.
But yeah, I've definitely, as you were talking, realized that I've diversified over the pandemic majorly. I wrote, writing a book, writing a TV script, lots of cameos, lots of online stuff. It's
lots of cameos.
TikToking, doing just kind of keeping myself out there, and then definitely is different when you're on set. I've had quite a few jobs. It's just masking and testing, which is not bad, I'm okay, I'll get tested every 3 days. I mean, it's just a bizarre
it's the new normal right now. So,
But yeah, I just had that movie, The Tomorrow War, come out. I'm doing a new show that's been out on Amazon Prime for a while. We actually shot that right before the pandemic. That's a big action Chris Pratt movie, and I played a regular lady who goes into the future and fights aliens. And spoiler, I get killed trying to fight aliens, but watch it anyway. I'm doing a new show called The Dropout for Hulu, which I don't know if any of you guys remember. It's the narrative story of Elizabeth Holmes. She developed this $1 billion company You remember that? There was a...
She's gone in court right now.
Right,
Yes,
the blood
there was an
test is-
article in the New York Times and then the documentary, which I saw that as well. It was like this new technology where you take a pinprick, like a drop of blood, and it was supposed to revolutionize how you, instead of getting blood taken, and you could like run your own blood panel. And she wanted to be like Steve Jobs, like develop this thing. That story is crazy. And then it got to the point where she raised all this money, but she didn't have the project, and she was lying about the whole thing. Anyway, I think there's a new style in television where they do a narrative about the true thing that happened. So I'm in the story of like her backstory of her life, and I play the wife of a guy who developed medical technology. He actually ends up suing her, but watch to find out. I don't know. It's coming out in a few months. If they're smart, they'll time it around that trial. Yeah, because she's on trial right now. But
Can you both talk a little bit about Cameo, because you both mentioned it, and what that's like? And because, you know, obviously you get the chance to reach out to fans here at an event like this, but Cameo is kind of creating a new atmosphere as well for actors and actresses to engage.
Well, there was a point last spring a year ago where no one could really graduate from schools, so I did so many, you know, happy graduation. Like I mean, I literally, like, I had a cap and gown. I was like, you know, because I felt so bad for these kids. And then there was a lot of weddings that were postponed, so I did like a lot of bachelor parties as a cameo.
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and then a lot of like kids turning 16 and like they couldn't quite get their license because, you know, I mean, and then I'm always like, okay, if you're getting your license, when are you driving and what neighborhood do you live in? Because I got hit by a car once. Anyway, so I just have, you know, there's just a few. Like, I know it's nice to connect to people. And also, like, people, the other thing about Cameo is that sometimes people have, like, someone who's really sick in the family and someone who's actually dying and have asked me to give a message. And I feel like, you know, it's like such an honor to speak to someone who is in that state of grace. And I love that, like, people have found joy from The Office. So I feel like it's been an honor to be brave enough to say, like, hey, I know what you're going through, and I'm with you 100%, and thank you for watching The Office, and, you know, don't get dressed up because maybe it's casual day. You know, like, you can make a joke, but you can also, like, be there for someone, which is, like, what we do in the real life. So Cameo has actually been, like, a weird intimacy, like, for some things, and, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's quieted down a little bit since things are opening up again, but still, I feel like it's the wave of the future. Mm-hmm. So anybody who's here who's like, you know, a celebrity who's not on it, I'm like, get on it. Like, it's a great way to connect with people, and it's like I don't think anybody's above that connection.
Marilyn, what's your Cameo experience?
Well said. Jeez, I'm gonna follow that.
That's.
I mean, I don't do things that are as moving and touchy. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it definitely was like a little bit odd at first, but then you realize, you know, just like anything else that involves technology, it's like there's an acclimation period. And I have a lot of people that are like, oh, like I wouldn't do Cameo. And then once you do it, you're like, oh, this is another way to reach people. And it's another...
and it means a lot to them. Like
not really genre, does. What's the word I'm looking for? Just another like methodology to... that's kind of a weird word as well. But...
Okay. No judgment.
And it's fun because I'm always like, you're a part of someone's special occasion. You know, like recently it was like I did a wedding and, you know, a lot of birthdays. And sometimes I'll just get, will you give me a pep talk? Which is so sweet.
Oh,
and yeah, it makes you feel good that they would think of you to do that. And so it's like all around kind of a win-win situation.
Right.
And do you get asks to be Mary Lynn, or are you getting asked to be Chloe?
I get mostly to Chloe from 24, which I do have like a little script because what I realized is I can talk as me about being Chloe, but I'm like, they want me to be in the Chloe thing. So I you know, do a little play acting for them to, give the vibe of 24. And then sometimes it's Gail the Snail, and those are my favorite from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because I don't know if you know that character, but she is disgusting. So if people ask for Gail the Snail, that's just sort of an invitation for me to be as dirty and inappropriate. So that's different. And then as Mary Lynn, you know, I'm a little bit more responsible, which that happens too. So those are the three that I get predominantly.
And then Kate, do you get
I get mostly Meredith, obviously, which I kind of am Meredith. I'm a little now, you guys. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you get to be inappropriate as Meredith.
It's true. And then I do get like Dancing with the Stars sometimes, which is so funny. If you guys want me to, I'm just kidding. I don't dance all the time. But I actually, I actually learned how to play the theme to The Office and the theme to Dancing with the Stars. So I will sit at my piano and like, if you get a cameo from me, like sometimes I will play like that theme to Dancing with the Stars. No one's asked for their money back, but I don't know if they love it.
So real quick, Kate, talk a little bit about Dancing with Stars. Is that, I've heard that that's, for the folks who've done it, it's the hardest work they have ever done.
It's hard, you guys. It's really hard. Like, there's no movie magic. You really have to show up and dance like every day for like 8 hours a day. I was so sore. Like the first 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then like different points, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sore again. Like it was a lot.
How do you work through it if you're really
Well,
sore?
I mean, I had a physical therapist, but also like my dance partner, Pasha, he's a great teacher. So he would just sort of be like, no, you can, I wish I'd started in better shape, but I guess that's the whole point, is that you get in shape from it. So I had absolutely no mental prep that they would even want me. So I was like, this is not real. They want what? But I did have a really good time. And it was so nice because Marilyn came my first episode, so did Jane Lynch. And then Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin. Angela came. I think Angela came to the first one too. And then Leslie David Baker, who plays Stanley, and Andy Buckley, who plays David Wallace, and Creed came. So I thought that was like so cool that they were supportive of Dancing with the Stars.
It's really exciting to watch it.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird because it's live. So if you mess up, like you cannot redo it. There's no redoing it. You're it. And then I got to do the tour. I got to do 54 of the 80 shows, and I was like, I kind of felt like, even though I didn't win, it felt like I won because I got the tour, because the audiences were so great, and I got to host, like, I got to do some jokes up top that I wrote, and then got to do a couple dances from the show.
That's amazing.
So I basically said, like, if you did not watch this past season, I won. I'm just kidding. There's all these inside jokes, but it was really fun.
Okay, I have a question, and this pertains to my son. So on your downtime, when you're waiting for that call, from your agent, hey, got this, got that, do you have any type of networking besides your agent calling you up? Do you do?
Oh yeah, well that's why we do stand up and comedy all the time in live theaters, because we don't want to just wait for the phone. I mean, I think that's the main reason, so we don't go crazy.
Yeah, because I keep on telling my sons, like, well, talk to your producer, talk to your director, see what's going on, because this producer is J.J. Abrams.
Of course, yeah.
And Sarah Bareilles, and so they had a great group of people with Warner Brothers and Apple TV Plus, that he was on 9 episodes. And,
that's so great.
But he's getting calls back and forth, and now we're just kind of waiting. Okay, you're on the bubble. It was like, okay, you're on the bubble where you get, okay, this is where it's going to be at. Are you open? Yeah, fine. And then it's like, didn't quite get it,
Well, I think making yourself busy, even if it's just like, if you don't want to do clubs or anything, like just start to create your own content on the internet. Like just, even if it's just, I mean, because I think this is the most, like, I mean, it's your responsibility to be an artist, whether someone calls you or not. So.
Yeah. But no, I mean, he gets quite a bit of hits, so which is real good.
That's great.
We're waiting one for ABC right now, so we're just crossing our fingers. We'll get some this week.
Good.
So.
Well, luck. That's great.
You guys still have to audition, right? I mean, it's not like you're just waiting by the phone.
Oh, no, it never ends. It never ends.
Yeah. Sometimes we get offers, which is nice, but yeah, we do have to audition too, and it's how it goes. And I think, like, take care of yourself, like take care of your mental state, like, and if you have negative people in your life, like, don't talk to them right before you have an audition, like, just anything that's going to bring you down, like, just keep it sacred, because, like, it's easy to talk yourself out of your own success sometimes, or feel intimidated by someone else's success. So you just have to do your best to, like, just keep your light, like keep your side of the street clean, and you don't have to knock anybody out of the way to get ahead. I mean, I do believe rejection is protection. If you don't get something, it means you may have to wait, you may have to learn a new skill, and then you'll get asked to do something that you couldn't do before, and now you can do it.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, come on up. Come on. It's okay. Deep breaths. Come close to the mic.
Do you guys have like something you do before auditioning or before doing something big, like a, what's it called, a ritual or routine? Like, do you guys have one of those before?
Well, I think what Kate just mentioned about, did you use the word protect yourself from, if you know you have an audition. I mean, I do a lot of stand-up, and it's funny because stand-ups will huddle together. Like if I'm on the same show with a bunch of people and we all know that we have a performance, there's an unspoken, like if someone who's not performing comes up, it's just like, you're just like don't talk to me. But what I'm saying is it looks like performers are like playing it cool, but there's nothing normal about it. There's nothing cool about it. It is a strange thing. There's a commonality between actors after an audition. You feel very vulnerable. And you do have to prep yourself working up to it. So it's weird because it's almost, in some ways it's easy, but it's very like ethereal in that way because it's also really hard. I mean, even like walking up and speaking in the mic, you made her do that just now. It's like, that's part of it, you know, and that feeling of like sort of jumping off the cliff. And that's what, when Kate mentions like that sacred space that you have to be in, you really do create that for yourself because that's not normal life, and you have to take small steps towards whatever the thing is that you want to do, whether it's the internet. We hope you do something live.
Right.
You know, whatever thing you choose to go for, keep that in mind, that and then also congratulate yourself for little things that you do, even if other people don't notice. Because we've certainly had a lot of shows like that. I mean, obviously, if you have an audience and they notice, but you have to like give yourself credit for progress that you've made. And performance is also special because, I mean, obviously we do it for TV, but it goes away, you know? So you really are, it's an exercise in like being in that moment too. So what you said about taking care of yourself is part of it as well.
Right, and I actually believe, like, I do believe in just a little quiet time, like meditation, just like shutting out some I mean, it's just a way to shut out the negative voices, because I feel like I'm very hard on myself, but I really can't be so hard on myself that I can't take a risk or be willing to, you know, I have to be able to be vulnerable sometimes, you know. Even in comedy, like, we're a little vulnerable, you know.
Yeah, and if it's not like a quiet meditation, definitely like kind of shutting out.
Or a song that like I want to hear before I go on, like that pumps me up, that makes me feel good, or something like, you know.
Because it is a bit of a, not a fantasy, but you're entering into something that's like, it is a place of magic, you know, and like, do treat it as such. And if you use the word ritual and that you like that and you're attracted to that, do that for yourself, you know. That's what like I mentioned, comics, they're all standing around like they're cool, but if it speaks to you to like make a space for yourself and, you know, do a prayer or like whatever those things are, like that's for you. That's like what you get to do for yourself in order to be in the space where you can create or perform or write or whatever the thing is, or sing.
Yeah.
Let's give this young lady a round of applause.
Yeah.
Because I totally pressured you into doing that, but I'm proud of you for doing it. Great job. You did a great job. I want to talk to you about kind of, because I think this segues a little bit back into improv, a little bit, and you know, just the yes and, right? Of and everybody knows what yes and what that means in improv.
The first rule of improv is yes and. So if someone says, "I'm here to return these shoes,"
yes, you are. And would you like another pair of shoes that we might have for you?
See, she gave me a yes and an and. Right.
So,
Wow.
and so not only are you, you know, if you're doing improv in the moment and you have to apply that like immediate response, but the thing I love about improv is it actually can be applied in your day-to-day, right? So could you talk a little more about yes and just how that all works out in your day-to-day and all that?
Well, I think improv, like the whole idea of yes and is actually, it's like having a positive attitude. It's like, it's the embodiment of being positive. And, you know, sometimes if things aren't going our way someday, you know, you feel like you want to put the brakes or something, and sometimes you can't stop. I mean, you can't stop your day just because you don't feel good, and you have to figure out how are you going to make this better. And it might be just being polite to the person that you have to deal with, and then maybe making a suggestion or even a joke or something that like takes the moment forward, so you're not stuck being upset.
And also so many times when you feel like you're not ready and you're just like, I'm going to go forward anyway. Even if I don't feel prepared. I mean, it's always good to prepare, but then at the last minute, even with auditions, you sort of have to, you prepare, and then when it's that moment, you let it out the window.
Right.
You're not going to overthink.
Right, or stop, or be so hard on yourself that you stop in the middle. You just have to keep going forward and, keep moving through the situation.
And it's going to be imperfect.
Yep.
And that's kind of the beauty of it.
Right, and the hard part about it, too.
So our challenge for everybody, the next time you're in a conversation, the next few days, and the first thought in your mind is, no, but. Because I do this a lot. I have to stop myself and go, nope, yes, and. How do I change that no, but into yes, and still get the same result that I'm looking to get before?
Right, right.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions. We're going to go right here. Come on over. No pressure. You have to follow her.
No, I know. Last time I was here, was in the offices here, I asked the panel, like, what was your favorite scene you did on The Office? And Mary Lynn, did you shoot your movie that you just did on Amazon pre? And how long was the shooting for that movie?
You did a switcheroo there. I thought he was going to ask you an Office question. Yeah, I did a movie called The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt, Ivan Strahovski. We shot probably a year before, on and off. Yeah, I was there, and it was done in Atlanta. There was a lot of CGI, but a lot of it was done live, and that was really cool because they would shut down a city street in Atlanta, and we would show up to set in all of our gear very early in the morning. And I remember getting there, and the whole street is just like trashed as if aliens had come through, and there's bodies on the ground, and there's little fires going, and there's smoke, and we would just be on that street for 3 or 4 days in a row, and then the next day I would be on a stairwell. And I had never done anything that scale and scope before, and I remember it just gets so big and so unwieldy, and there's so many different parts, and the actors, because we're used to doing something where you're like, it's our scene, we're here, and this is like, I'm just one part of like so many different things. It's like the explosion's over there, and they're doing this, and all these like moving parts. And that was really cool. And I remember there's like a gun handler, and I was like, what is going on? And like things would change at the last minute, like schedules would change, action shots would take a different trajectory than you would think, because once they get those pieces up and moving, they'll change them. And I remember the gun handler going, oh yeah, this is what like every Marvel movie feels like. Like when people are in it, it just feels like a crazy big mess. And then once they start gearing towards, okay, we have all of our footage, then it becomes like a totally different beast in the editing. So that's kind of a cool experience to be sort of a little part of a big thing, and being able to, I mean, we had rubber guns, we had real guns, and this director was wild because he's like, there's 12 of you, and the camera's way back there shooting the street. He goes, you're all going to be shooting blanks in this shot. And we would just go from like car to like, we're running across the street into this garage, and you kind of like take your own cue. It was wild, and like yelling and like, I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening? But there were so many times where I'd be in the worst mood, and I hate to admit this, I'm very anti-gun, but I'm like, oh, I have to carry all this stuff. And then once we like shot those blanks, I was like, let's go. Like, I'm ready to go again. So, and that's also very exciting to see the finished product, because obviously we don't get to see the aliens, but there was one scene in a stairwell. I mean, this is like classic movie of, the 1 minute on screen, we were in that stairwell for 6 days, we're just like, ugh, like, because all we see is like shadows and like a little spark, and so that was exciting to see the final product of that.
So do you want to do more action like that? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, we run around with guns.
I mean, I'm definitely like a comedy person. There were certain people that were very in shape, and me and us comedians were like, where's the camera? Like, I'm gonna full out sprint when I know where the shot is, and everybody else is like, let's go. And I'm like, do you really see me in this take? Because I need to rest a little bit. But yeah, I would love to do it.
Last time, so we had Leslie, Oscar, and Brian here.
Right.
It was the last panel. So what's your favorite office memory or office experience?
It's so hard to pick one. One of my favorite things to shoot was Moroccan Christmas, the scene where Michael Scott drags Meredith into rehab. It was one of the few times we got to improvise an entire scene, because usually everything's very written. And I actually think that they intended to have a voiceover over the whole thing, which is why they just kind of let us like do our own thing. Not so much Steve, because he would improvise probably more than anybody, but not much, because it was really written. And Paul Feig was the director, and Paul has directed Ghostbusters and Bridesmaids and a million other things. But I remember, like, out of the corner of my eye, there were 2 stunt doubles dressed like me and Steve, just in case one of us got hurt, because they didn't really map out anything. I mean, he was like throwing trash bags at me. I'm like, and I'm throwing them at him. We're trying to, like, it was so ridiculous. And I think I kind of lost my voice when literally in the dragging, when we came into the hospital, that part, I was like, I just kept screaming. It was totally worth it. So yeah, that was probably my most like crazy fun. But I did.
So you're saying, did they end up keeping a lot of that
They
stuff?
did. They
That's
kept the whole
awesome.
scene, the whole chase scene. Like they kept all of our audio because it was so ridiculous. Like the whole like, wait a minute. Like all that stuff was just like, didn't even know they were going to use any of it. So fun. And then one of my other favorite things to shoot was the fun run, because I just, all those hospital scenes with everybody just like breathing on Meredith and Michael Scott trying to apologize for hitting her with his car and breaking her pelvis, and then trying to climb into the bed to like get a hug. Like, so fun.
Well, and you did a lot of physical stuff in the
I
office.
did.
I did.
I loved. I feel like I didn't talk that much, but I did get to do most of my own stunts. I did, which was so fun. I love doing physical comedy, and I feel like people didn't get to know much of like Meredith's life, but they saw a lot of body parts.
Well, we're just about out of time, so before we wrap up, tell us what's coming up next and where people can follow you on the socials and all that good stuff to hear what you have to say.
I have a, I'm not sure when it's coming out. I just did a movie called The Prank, which I think it'll probably be out in March. That's what and Rita Moreno's in it. And then I'm also about to go on tour with Jane Lynch. I think we're going to be somewhere around here at Christmas time, and I can't remember when. I'm so sorry. But if you go to Jane Lynch Official, you can see it all. And then you can see me at Kate Flannery on Twitter, at the real Kate Flannery on Instagram, and I'm also on Cameo and Facebook. Thanks.
I am going to be in a show on Hulu called The Dropout. I don't know when that's coming out. You can see me on The Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime. My comedy special is coming out in December. I'm going on tour for comedy. I'm doing TikToks of Comic-Con, so of Kate and I, of our morning ritual. So Mary Lynn Rajskub, find me on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, and you'll see us walking around here.
Right.
Well, and I was going to say, how awesome would it be to see these two in a show or something together? Because clearly the chemistry's there, right?
It'd be fun. I know.
So-
We did stand-up in stilettos on TV Guide Network, but I was the host and she was one of the stand-ups, so we didn't really get to.
Yeah, we need to do something.
That was
we
not enough.
definitely
I
need
just
to
got
see
to introduce her.
The Kate and Mary Lynn show, or Mary Lynn and Kate, something like that. There's got to be something there. Please, they're going
Carrie
to
Lynn
the
and
fun
me.
deck. They're signing for the rest of the day today. Please give a huge round of applause to
Thank
Mary
you,
Lynn Rajskub
guys.
and Kate Flannery.
Thanks
you
for
so
coming
much.
to this.
So much.
And you guys.